I thought, if I could just get over there and get back in my body, everything would be okay. Little did I know it was not okay. Wow. Suddenly I began to rise, and I'm floating upwards, and I'm looking down at the truck. I could see my body through the rear window of the truck, and and I'm very aware of the altitude as a pilot, and I get up there and I tilt my head back. This beautiful golden circle appears in the sky like a gigantic wedding ring, 60 feet in diameter. The center fills with gold, and then the gold swings back. And then, as though I had hit all the thrusters on the jets on the aircraft that I used to fly, I went at tremendous speed into that tunnel of light. I'd heard the term before, tunnel of light, and I think most people have, but that's exactly what it was. It's a corridor to another place. And sometimes, and it was almost instantaneous. I went through it. The strangest thing, Joni, was typically, if you're going fast, you hear the speed of the wind, you feel the wind on your face, nothing, just silence. I come to a door, and it's covered in mist, a door or a portal, and I lift. I know I have no choice but to go through because the tunnel is closing behind me. And so I step through, and it's misty, I cannot see, but I look down at my feet, the mist starts to clear, and I can't believe it. I'm standing on the most incredible, beautiful green grass I've ever seen. Each blade lit up. And I now know what they mean by the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. They're talking about heaven.
Yeah.
And I look up, and the mist clears, and I get my first gaze of paradise. But there's something interesting. On the right, there's this beautiful field with flowers and mist and a beautiful blue sky, but curiously enough, no sun. And as a pilot, that's the first thing I look for to orient myself. Am I northwest? Am I southeast? And I'm looking for the sun. But as my gaze traversed to the left, that beautiful green grass went from green to scorched to brown to scorched to black and dropped off in a crevasse. I've always been an inquisitive person. I couldn't get over the dichotomy between the two vistas. And so I walked over very carefully and looked down this pit. And the walls were like black anthracite coal and slippery. And as I look, there's a dim flicker of a red light, not unlike a campfire you would see in the distance on a summer night. But it started to grow larger. And then I heard something really strange, the sound of two large doors creaking open on hinges that had not been oiled for a long time. And along with that came, the flame grew. So looking down, the doors were sideways and the flame grew greater. And then I saw something, to my shock, amble out from this, and it was massive. It was a creature that Hollywood couldn't replicate. The most disgusting looking creature, large, with a body of fire and smoke. Yet it had features not unlike a hyena.
Oh, wow.
And it was clearly sniffing and searching for something. But then suddenly I saw it pause, and then it gazed back up toward me. The look of hatred in the eyes, Joni, of that creature for anything, for me and for mankind, was palpable. And that, combined with the stench of death and decay that came out of that pit, it was the smell of despair. The smell of despair. And then what really galvanized me was it started to climb up the walls toward me. And for a large creature, it was fairly nimble and quick.
How large was it? About?
Well, it was 60 feet, I guess, because
huge.
when it got up over the pit, it stood in front of me. And faced like a hyena, snarling. I mean, you know, the old-time pastors weren't wrong.
Right.
We laugh at them now because, oh, well, how bad can it be? Let me tell you something, folks. You don't want to see what I saw.
Yeah.
You don't. And Hollywood couldn't replicate it. And slobbering. It was drooling. I could hear the sound of its drool slapping the ground. But the worst thing was I heard my name being called.
How terrifying.
My name, Lord, my name. This creature knew me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to rationalize. I wasn't that bad a guy. I didn't think I was.
Yeah.
I didn't kill anyone. I didn't rob anyone. I didn't hurt anyone. But I wasn't as kind unless I got a tax receipt. And so and then along with that, my name being called, Jim, we are here for you. This is your time with us. And then the strangest thing happened. I heard screaming, but here's the sick part. The screaming was coming from within the body of this creature. It was as though it had consumed souls, and they were screaming for release.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, this is what hell is.
Yeah.
This is not some fairy tale.
Yeah.
And it came up out of the pit, and I staggered backwards, and I turned my back to it to keep my sanity. And I felt a claw right down my back. All the while it's calling my name and trying. And I really feel that if I had turned around, that would have been acceptance. And I would have been snatched. But instead, remember the 3 words I cried out?
God forgive me.
God forgive me. The next 3 were magical. I turned toward that beautiful vista to my right, and I lifted both my hands, and I cried out, God, help me. Help me. I, who ignored him, expected nothing.
Wow.
And he gave me everything.
That's so good.
And suddenly 3 points of light appear in the sky. They come rushing toward me. And they form, and I realize they're angels. The light came over me and went behind me, and I turned in time to see that light strike the demon.